Okay, Kar Yong, so you have been, teaching and coaching on the trading aspect. Is there specific instruments like FX or stocks also, I believe? Like among all these, financial instrument, say for beginners, which is the easiest to pick up. Yeah.
To beginners to pick up in terms of understanding, I would say naturally stocks will be easier to understand.
Okay.
And if you say easier to approach, where you don't need a lot of time and commitment, it's more towards investing.
Oh, okay.
So the longer your horizon, the easier things becomes. However, if you are talking about easier in getting in, then of course it's the FX market. Of course, the capital required is not as huge as it requires in terms of stocks.
Oh, yes,
So
correct.
yeah, it really depends on when someone comes in the financial market, like, do I have the capital? Am I someone looking for more activity? Or am I someone who just wants to be slow in it, take my time? Yeah, so really depend on individual to share like which asset is easier for them.
Right. Okay, yeah, that's why I heard it depends on whether is it for investment or for trading.
Yeah.
More for cash flow, faster cash flow in, or a little bit longer term period also. Yeah. Stocks, there's like stock CFD that we can trade also.
Yeah.
Or the very shorter term.
However, stocks trading is a little bit more challenging than FX, because FX is number one 24 hours. In terms of the price movement is a little bit more fluid, and the technical term here is like stock CFDs. A lot of times there's a gap, so it's there's no way you can really manage the gap because that's the nature of the market, and because of gaps, it becomes difficult to manage your risk as well, because sometimes you might lose more than what you've prepared. Then sometimes you might not get involved in the price that you want. So there's this kind of little nuances in CFD trading. Yeah, so that's the difference between FX and CFD.
Right, okay. It's like, okay. So a few factors lah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to trading or investing, but is it that if we are decided to go into investing more, we need to study more of the economics or the specific stocks? The survival rate potentials, and but FX will be like more global countries.
Yeah.
Right? But we also need to have some awareness of the fundamental part,
Correct.
soundness, yeah. And then when it comes into entry point or exit point, we look at the charts, right? Yours is like covering both the financial and technical aspect.
I would always suggest anyone who wants, whether you are stocks or FX, right? At the end of the day, you want to acquire as much knowledge as you can,
Okay.
right? I always share this analogy where today, if you decide to go for a buffet, you don't walk in and see one food and you say, I like this, let's get myself full with it.
Okay,
but
okay.
naturally, we always do is you walk the entire restaurant
Alright.
and see, okay, these are like all the options available. Then you subconsciously made up your mind, okay, I like this, I don't really want that. I'll eat this, that one probably not. So that is where you actually have that choice, the power of option, right? Because you actually know all options on the table. Then you have the ability to say, okay, this one I want, this one I don't want. So in trading and investing, as you approach it, again, there are many analysis methods. There's like the fundamental side, there's the macro side of things, there's the technical side of things. So if today you only know one, then you don't have a choice. You are stuck with it.
That's true as well.
But if today you put yourself in an advantage where you know a lot, right? The more knowledge you have, then you have the power of choice where you say, my style, I fit this, right? I prefer this. Then as I know that, it doesn't mean I need to necessarily do it, right? Or utilize it. So that becomes, you put yourself in a position where you're very comfortable approaching the market. At the same time, you're very confident in it because you know things are happening, but you are at the controlling end where you can say, I want this, I don't want that. Yeah. So I always share, don't limit yourself like, oh, I'm a technical guy, therefore I only look at technical analysis. Maybe yes, your strategy is only on that, but open up in understanding everything so that you have that confidence.
Correct.
Yeah.
But we have like information overload, especially on the if you want to acquire more fundamentals,
True.
economic aspect. Do we just read the news, which is like, oh my god, it's trying to influence us in a different way that is affecting our trades later, or is there some source that is like good enough, or maybe you are one of those sources.
No, I always say it's always my opinion only. I'm not like a source.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's true that a lot of times people might feel information overload, like too many things at one go, right? If you're starting out as someone who is new, then naturally you can't say instantaneously I want to learn everything, because everyone start off as a blank piece of paper. But I always say you need to. I always like to do this, and when I deliver my sharing and coaching is I like to give the big picture so that you understand, kind of like what we call the entire roadmap, right? What are the things that you can study? What are the things that you probably need to know? And then you have a big picture and know that where you are, so you can kind of pace yourself. It doesn't mean that, as I mentioned, you need to know a lot, then you need to know it quick, right? It's more like some people might take 1 week to acquire everything. Some people might take 1 month, again depending on the time and the effort. But the thing is, never stop. Like say, okay, that's all I need to know, because to be honest, the market is always evolving. Even people like successful traders, investors, even myself, we are always learning. Where we are today, we can even say it's unprecedented, right? Now. So we need to be flexible and adaptive enough to keep receiving information from the market, and then make use of that information to see how best we can capitalize on it.
Right. Yeah, the keyword is that if we knew how to capitalize, right? But if we totally have no awareness, we can't even know is that an opportunity that we can tap on. Yes. Okay, sounds good. And so Kar Yong, we are like into the whole world is I don't know whether we call it like a financial meltdown kind. We have energy crisis, we have political tensions, and even economic and climate crisis, I would say, affecting inflation or even stagflation. So do folks view this as an opportunity that they can quickly go into trading, or it's time for investing? Should we keep cash first, or until at what point that we have better clarity of where the market trend is stabilizing, or is it even going to stabilize? I'm not too sure. Maybe we hear your opinion.
Yeah, I always say it's my opinion, because if I know the fact, then everyone will be rich.
Yes.
So I would say in terms of like the best time to come into the market or even learn about this skill or acquire the skill, there's really no best time. Again, the market is always evolving. So if you can't accept it and understand the fact that it's never going to be the same, then it's very hard to even say like when is the best time to get in, right? So the best time is always like if you know about this skill set like 10 years ago, then obviously you can use that knowledge and skill set today to maximize your opportunity, right? So in terms of timing, I always say there's no best time, right? So but there's no need to rush, because a lot of times people will say, oh, now is the time, I haven't learned anything, so that I just anyhow lah.
Okay.
So you don't do that as well.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the market will always be there, right?
True.
It has been there for so many years, even before I was born. It's probably going to still be there after I'm dead. So there's no need to rush, but don't delay at the same time lah. So pace yourself, and whether right now with so many things happening, is it suitable for trading and investing? To be honest, both are doable. I mean, trading, there isn't much of a big concern in terms of like what's really happening globally, because the whole idea about trading is you are capitalizing on both upside and downside.
True.
So it doesn't really matter whether the market is performing or the market is not performing. If you're trading, you're approaching it that way, then you can either buy it or you can sell it. Doesn't really matter. In terms of investing, then naturally as the market is coming down in terms of equities, it then presents a slightly better opportunity because you can get it at a cheaper price point. But of course, that doesn't mean that you just buy anything that has fallen, because some companies or some stocks are naturally then not really worth investing in such an environment where they might struggle maybe longer before they recover. And you might want to then focus on companies that perhaps would be able to recover faster in the next phase, when the economy starts to turn and things like that. So it's also about having the ability to cherry pick.
Okay. But I don't know, do you, maybe, I'm not sure to ask you whether do you provide the source, but how do we cherry pick?
Okay, I don't think that it's
which
like...
industry sector do you think we can zoom into?
So I don't think that it's like a proper you do this, then you get the answer. But it's really the more you expose yourself to what's happening, and of course to be observant. And of course, being in a community helps because you bounce ideas, right? So naturally, you can look from an angle like, for example, solar energy is one of the sector, or maybe not so specific also, but green tech, right? That is definitely one because we know energy crisis now. Russia, Ukraine, a lot of countries now are afraid that if we are too reliant on one single source of energy, we might get affected, right? And that's also because that causes quite a bit of inflation. So a lot of focus right now is towards the development of green tech, solar tech. And if you want more deeper research, that's where you look into for example, government bills, their development plan and things like that. Then you realize, where is the government budget going towards, right? So that can give you an idea future trends, right? So solar, green tech is definitely one of it. And then of course that becomes stock market, right, related. But you can also branch out from there. So if today you're not in the solar energy, you're not in stocks, right? Then you can also go and find out, from that kind of top flow, okay, so solar is going to be the next development. What is required to develop that sector? Right? What are the raw materials? Then you start to realize, there's the commodity sector that becomes the raw material required for this kind of development. So it's kind of related, right? So then you realize, to develop solar, you need that photovoltaic cells. To develop photovoltaic cells, you need a raw material called silver. So naturally, silver becomes something that is also very accessible to many traders. Whether it's from spot markets, CFDs, or even physical silver, or even ETFs. So then that becomes, that's another opportunity available. So if you branch further, but of course then the link become a little bit weaker, right? But if then start to look into, so commodities, which countries produce a bit more of that, then perhaps the GDP, the growth of the economy will be better because of this demand, things like that. Then perhaps that currency will be worth looking into. So it kind of relate just by one arm, right? Then of course you can branch out with the current economy, inflation is high, then you look into food. Actually, agriculture is another sector that it's gonna be in strong demand. Right? And of course, clean water. So agriculture and food related. Then that is another arm, right? So I think opportunities are always available. It's again back to the exposure you have and how deep you go in terms of that research. So definitely it's there.
I agree with you. Sounds like you have been doing some researches and analysis from the macro top down to even whether investing or on the trading part. Do you provide this updates to your folks?
I don't really do specifically such an update, but because I do a lot of sharings, right? Then sometimes, as I mentioned, opportunity comes, whether is it from the market directly or is coming from a participant question. So a lot of times, the more a participant asks or more the group asks, the more such conversations open up. So if people don't ask, then sometimes I also don't talk about it because you never think about it to share, right? So this is where I don't really specifically have a report, or a regular thing that I keep sharing all this, but from time to time, the regular sharing sessions, questions from the floor, open up a conversation like that.